Now, I would like to bring you back to Laos. The year is 1989. I was just a 19-year-old girl living in the southern part of Laos. Uh, I had just received a scholarship from Laos, from the government of Laos, to study English at the National University of Laos. Without a scholarship from the government, it would be a problem for my parents to send me to study in Vientiane capital, where the university is. This is because of the distance and financial support. It's a long way from my hometown to Vientiane capital. It took about 3 days and 2 nights by bus. At that time, the main road was in the process of improving. That's why it took a few days. Also, my parents hesitated a lot whether or not to send me to study in Vientiane capital. This is due to I had many siblings. There were 7 siblings in total, plus some extended relatives living under our roof. That's why my parents hesitated whether to send me. During my bachelor degree at the National University of Laos, I faced quite a lot of problems. I was homesick, I was lonely. It was very, very difficult for me to make new friends. It's kind of a distance between city girls and countryside girls. But I tried my best. I could visit my hometown once a year during my long break, but I never gave up. Studying in the highest level in Laos is my dream. I graduated in 1993 and I got a job in teaching English as a foreign language at the National University of Laos. During my early work years, I faced quite a lot of problems to deal with provincial students because of many of them are minorities. They are Lao Sung, the highland people, and Lao Theng, the upperland people. They face some problems, or many problems, which were very close and similar to mine. Their problems, their background with English, and lacking of financial support to buy learning materials and supporting or related documents in their study. It also took time for them to become familiar with new environment and to get used to things. In the year 2007 to 2009, I got a scholarship to do my master in Japan under JICE support. All master students needed to do a research. I came up with an idea how to help provincial students in my working area. This is because I noticed that very few provincial students have opportunities to study at this level. So I came up with the title. My title is on Ethnic Minority Female Students Education. This is on my concern. The higher the education, students drop out. In order to find out what caused them to drop out, a field work or field study is carried out in the remote area of Laos, Sekong province, where people face many problems in education. Actually, Lao Theng has their own traditions to practice. During ethnic festivals, their village is closed. It means the villagers are not allowed to get out. At the same time, the outsiders are not to get in. Children don't go to school and they miss classes. That's a problem. It may happen in some areas among the ASEAN countries, I think. In my study, I use 2 main methods. One is the interview, and the other is observation. It took about 40 to 50 minutes for each talk. And among these two methods, observation is more reliable. This is because of local people tend to say and make problems more serious in order to get help for their communities, especially if people from the ministries of private sectors came to that place. In my study, numbers of problems have been found. Among those problems, 5 main factors have been sorted out related to school dropout. One is economic status of the family. 2 is parents' perceptions on children. 3 is labor need for the family. 4 is the distance from home to school. And 5 is the language instruction at school. Regarding low income of the families and parents face 2 main problems. That is large size households and perceptions on guns. For those who have large size of households with many school-age children, parents have to decide who can study. School girls are at the risk of receiving encouragement from their parents and to continue their study. The higher the education rises, parents need to decide and consider whether or not to send their daughters to school. This is due to they have different perception between girls and daughters and sons. Daughters are needed to be close with the family. They should know how to deal with household chores. They should learn how to deal with household activities, including taking care of young siblings and other people at home. This leaves school girls little time for their studies. Also, about the labor needs for the family is considered as the main factor on their enrollment. Actually, both girls and boys are needed for their parents to have their parents to work on the farm and to deal with household activities. This will lead them to have poor achievement. One more important factor, that is the distance from home to school. This is very far from them. Some children spend more than an hour to walk. This considered is not safe for school girls. Actually, parents worry on their daughters more than sons. Sons are more acceptable if they arrive home late, hang out around with their friends, or live in the dormitories, or stay with the cousins on their study. It's more acceptable than girls. Also, about the instruction, language instruction at school is a main barrier for minorities to learn. Actually, Lao language is something that though they don't use very often, they hardly use it in their daily lives. So it's difficult for them. Besides, the content of the lesson is not relevant to their lives, so it's very hard for them to understand. Actually, it is very necessary for the teachers to translate the language for them to learn. Otherwise, they miss the point. This is the difficulty for minority children. This is the topic of my study. The topic of my study that is on ethnic minority female enrollment, because of actually the girls in the remote areas, they work much harder than men to work on the farm. They spend more hours to deal with household activities. What I have found out in my study is very important. It's very important in my working areas in order to deal with provincial students. This is what they learn in the remote areas of Laos. This is the activity, what they are doing. You see, if we compare, the life in the city is much different from students in the city. They lack of facilities. They use whatever the space in order to have activities among teachers and students. This is school in a remote area, so it's not very convenient for them. It's not comfortable at all to go to school, so they have to walk, and they pass sometimes forest. It's not safe for school girls. This is the point. Parents worry a lot. The higher the education rises, parents have to consider whether to send their daughters to school. This is the point for the provincial students. Nowadays, the government of Laos has been making a great effort to improve education and has put at education the first step in developing and improving the country. And I have seen school buildings have been built up, numbers of teachers and numbers of students enrollment is increasing. And however, the rate of school dropout is still high. And it's a problem, and it becomes a serious problem in Laos. The study is very important to us as teacher of English in my working area, as well as for the Ministry of Education. Nowadays, my colleagues and I continue to look for ways to bridge the gap between minority female students and their male counterparts. Thank you.